Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We're continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Peah. We're up to Perek Chet Mishnah Chet. The Mishnah now is going to discuss how poor a person must be in order to be allowed to take Leket Shicha and Peah, the gifts that are designated for the poor. Mi sheyesh lo 200 zuz lo ito Leket Shicha Peah Maaser Ani. A person who has 200 zuz of cash is not allowed to collect the leket, the shicha, the peah, and the maaser ani, because the Mefarshim explain, the Chachamim estimated that 200 zuz is the equivalent of money that a person can use to spend on food and clothing throughout the duration of a year. It'll help him survive for a year. Therefore, since he's able to live for a year, he's not considered poor enough to take the leket, shicha, and peah, maaser ani. Hayu lo 200 chaser dinar. If he had 200 zuz minus 1 dinar, which is 199 zuz, because 1 dinar is 1 zuz. So if he had 199 zuz, he's right almost at the threshold. Even if somebody comes and gives him a gift of 1,000 zuz, throwing him above the threshold, he still may accept that gift, because since at the time when he accepted this one gift, he was under the threshold, he had 199, even though it'll throw him above, since he's allowed to take it, he can accept it, that one gift. However, even if a person has 200 zuz, therefore he's above the threshold, but some of that money is designated to pay back a loan that he borrowed or to pay his wife's ketubah in the event that, God forbid, he dies or he divorces her, he's still allowed to collect the leket shicha and peah maaser ani. Why? Because this 200 he's not able to use. Some of it's designated to pay back a loan, some of it's designated to pay back his wife, even if he's still married to her. But since in the event that, God forbid, he dies or divorces her, that money goes to her, it's considered that he's not able to spend it now. Therefore, he's able to collect the leket shicha and peah maaser ani, even though technically he has 200 zuz. The Mishnah ends off, "Ein mechayivin oto limkor et beto v'et klei tashmisho." We do not obligate a person who has less than 200 zuz to sell his house or his household items like tableware, clothing. Even the Rav says his gold and silver utensils he uses for Shabbatot and Yomim Tovim. Why? Because we do not take into account these assets when calculating whether he has 200 or 1. So we don't obligate him. He's able to take the leket shicha and peah maaser ani, even though he has items that he could sell. He doesn't have to sell them. But the Rav explains this is only talking about when he wants to collect leket shicha and peah only, and he doesn't collect from charity. But if he collects from charity, even if he wants to take leket shicha and peah now, he must sell whatever he has before he's able to collect it. That is the end of Rabotai Mishnah Chet. Mishnah Tet is going to discuss a case where a person has less than 200 zuz and still he cannot collect the leket shicha and peah. If somebody has 50 zuz, but it's his business money, he does business with it, he cannot take gifts of the poor. Why? Because this money, since he does business with it, he's able to earn enough to support himself, therefore he's not eligible for the charity. And the Rav points out the Chachamim determined 50 zuz that you use for business is the equivalent of 200 zuz that's not being used. Because in each case, a person can support himself for 1 year. Therefore, this person who has 50 zuz of business money has the equivalent of a regular person's 200 zuz, and therefore he may not collect the gifts for the poor. Very powerful, Rabotai. The Mishnah, it was written 2,000 years ago. Anybody who does not have to take charity and takes it anyways, anyone who doesn't have to take charity and he takes, he will not leave the world until he loses all his possessions and really becomes dependent on other people. As a punishment for taking tzedakah when he does not need to, he will eventually come to need it, chas v'shalom. But anyone who needs to collect charity, but he struggles to support himself regardless, and he doesn't take the charity, meaning even though he's eligible, the Rav says he works hard, and he makes do with less, and he manages to support himself without help from others, he will not die of old age until he becomes wealthy and supports others from his own money. Upon such a person, the Pasuk says in Yirmiyahu, Perek Yud Zayin, Pasuk Zayin, Baruch HaGever sheyiftach b'Adonai, v'yah Adonai miftacho. Blessed is the man who trusts in Hashem, and then Hashem will be his source of trust. Meaning, when a person does not resort to collecting charity, but he trusts in Hashem for his needs, Hashem will respond and take care of this person's needs. But the Mefarshim do point out, this is talking about a case where the poor person can struggle and support himself with the bare minimum. However, if he's so poor he can't support himself, then he's obligated to take tzedakah rather than be hungry and endanger his life. That already is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a person who If he struggles, he could push and live with the bare minimum. If he decides to do that, even though he's eligible for tzedakah, he will not leave the world from old age until Hashem makes him wealthy and he'll be able to support others. V'chen dayan shedan din emet la'amito. Likewise, a judge who delivers a true judgment for the sake of truth. He's not taking a bribe, he doesn't care about himself, but he's doing it for Hashem. He will be rewarded. Why? Because since this judge demonstrates that he only trusts Hashem, he doesn't take the bribe, he doesn't care about other people's wishes, but he wants to stick to the truth. He is included in the pasuk of Baruch HaGever Sheyiftach B'Adonai, Vaya Adonai Miftacho. V'chol mi she'eno lo chiger, v'lo sumeh, v'lo piseach. Any person who is not lame, he's not blind, he's not crippled, because lame means crippled in one leg, crippled means both legs, etc. But he acts as if he's crippled or blind, chas v'shalom, so that people will have mercy on him, give him tzedakah. The Mishnah says he will not leave this world, he will not die of old age until, God forbid, he becomes crippled or becomes blind. Because the pasuk says, tzedek tzedek tirdof, charity with justice shall you pursue. And the Mefarshim explain that the word tzedek can also be interpreted as tzedakah, meaning the pasuk says it really means tzedek tirdof, justice you should chase. But since tzedek can be changed to tzedakah, we learn it as you should chase charity with justice, legitimately. And the Mishnah concludes, "V'chol dayan shelokeach shochad umateh et hadin." Any judge who accepts a bribe and corrupts the judgment, eno mit min ziknat she'enav kahot, he will not die of old age until his eyes dim and he become blind. Shenemar, because the pasuk says, "V'shochad lo tikach," do not take a bribe. Ki hashochad yaver pikchim, for a bribe blinds those who see. And the Mefarshim explained that the simple meaning of this pasuk is that a judge he cannot see the truth anymore once he gets money. It prevents him. However, the Mishnah learns it in the literal way. A judge who accepts a bribe, God forbid, will not die until he becomes blind. That is the end, Rabotai, Masechet Peah. We concluded, Baruch Hashem. We are going to begin Masechet Demai and Motzei Shabbat. Everyone should have a Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.